Hi there, this is Tara Lanzak with the Retriever News. I'm here with John Russell on our right, who's been in the field trial game for 40 plus years as an amateur who trains his own dogs. Then we have Pat Burns on the left from Elite Retrievers. Guys, I was wondering, there's so many handles going on in this test midday for Series 3, the Water Triple. Can you talk a little bit about why the dogs are having to handle and they're having such trouble finding their birds?
Well, I think the factors in a test like this always change. And as you get increased velocity and wind, it can have a huge impact on a test like this. And as the wind is picked up and it's blowing out of that middle field to the wrong side, I think the dogs are happy to take that influence because of the discomfort they feel at the initial look of having to run in there between the two guns, the flyer guns and the guns that threw the bird. So they're happy to take that invitation, go to the wrong side, and then the wind keeps them there.
So do you think the test would be easier or harder if that middle gun was retired?
In many ways, I think it may be easier.
And is that because they might be a little more comfortable hunting between two guns, that maybe one gun isn't standing out?
I think that's correct. That as training techniques and philosophies change over the years, the dogs will always show that. And I think one of the things in the last few years is the dogs have become comfortable hunting both sides of a flyer gun. We see a lot of mamas and papas, as they call it, and what have you. And I believe that by leaving that other set of guns out, you've changed the look, and it makes them a little less comfortable and a little more happy to think Dodge is in the North 40, not right where they are.
Pat, what's your take on the situation?
Certainly the increased wind velocity is a factor. And when you think of a wind affecting your line to a bird more than how they hunt it once they've achieved the fall area. But it is obvious that the dogs don't like to hunt back into the wind any more than they like to hold a line in a crosswind. So that's certainly a factor on the middle bird. But the test as a whole is something that John and I were talking about here just a little while ago. And just about, he reminded me how important it is the state of mind of the dog that's running. And the state of mind is really much more important than the lines to the birds or anything else. So much of what we do in training to get them to do the things they have to do to be competitive on the weekends, oftentimes works against us on a test like this for a while.
When you talk about the state of mind of the dog, are you referring to some of the dogs who are wanting to stay in the water and not necessarily exit on the left-hand shore?
I think it affects both birds. I think a dog that's being careful and cautious and trying to follow the rules, so to speak, can fall victim to seeking more water to the left that's visible on the middle bird, avoiding the previous line of the previous retrieve by flaring a little bit on the flyer guns, and the fact that that middle bird is a pheasant, and there's probably a fair amount of duck. They've just picked up a live duck. There's probably a fair amount of duck scent deep that's floated back, and so once they get behind that gun, climb the hill, get in that duck scent, it's hard to come back down the hill.
And that's something we really haven't touched upon, is a mixed bag.
It's a big factor, and certainly in nationals you'll see it on almost every set of landmarks. You'll have a mixed bag, and an awful lot of watermarks. Usually, certainly the first set of watermarks, you're going to guarantee to have a mixed bag. So picking up a duck, coming back and getting a pheasant, and especially a hen pheasant, this is a rooster pheasant, is extraordinarily difficult.
Well, thank you, Pat. And John, you have a different, an actual up-close perspective for us since you've run the test already. What was it like at the line?
Well, I ran early, and so less was known about the way they may react to certain factors. And I would have to say the factors were a little different. The wind was not of the velocity it is now, so that was less of a factor. But with the unknowns, you're wondering how they're going to react to that bird with the long water look that didn't take into the bird. And that closeness of the two guns on that middle bird, curiosity how they'd react to that. And of course, every dog's different. You know, some dogs are more intimidated by that look than others. I would say that that mixed bag aspect is huge, particularly for the dogs that run in the part of the country where they don't use a lot of ducks. You know, they're less familiar with that situation, which
I meant pheasants, actually. They don't use a lot of pheasants.
I'm sorry, I didn't say, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
That use mostly ducks, and then when they have that scent issue, they're less comfortable with it, and it's certainly something you'll always see at a national. And I think it's a valuable trait. You know, you're talking about a national champion, the versatility of the dog, the dedication to different scents, the ability to watch a hen pheasant fly with a quick wing beat flying a long way is very different for a dog to look at even. So all those factors come into the mixed bag test. I think this one is the important one. Lots of dragging a duck center on the edges of the water and then having to stop and look for a pheasant. I think it's very important and very difficult, particularly for the dogs that are less experienced at it.
Well, gentlemen, I thank you. That was very insightful. And John, good luck. And Pat, as always, it's been a pleasure.